Hi everybody, this is Casey Wallace and welcome back to COVID-19, the opportunities you didn't think of. Continuing to bring you positive outlook programming and also really support and assistive programming during this global experience that's taking place right now in the year 2020. And on today's show is a friend and colleague of ours, Daniel Olexa, and he is a supercharged powerhouse assistant for you. He is going to help get co-collaborative with you and get you into other spaces, other places that you may have a difficult time climbing into. Maybe it's hard for you to make your changes. Maybe it's a challenge for you to stay consistent in your flow of the way you think. Maybe it's really a difficulty to let go of the other old paradigms and old programs that you're clinging to in the way that you think. Daniel is an expert in his field, and we're just going to get you right into this conversation. Sit back, relax, and engage. And thank you so much. We are very honored for you being here with us. Daniel, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks, Casey. I'm happy to be back with you guys in this the virtual world of COVID now. Social distancing from many states away.
We're honoring everybody here on this programming in that way. Daniel, hypnotherapy is really super cool stuff. Some people are familiar with it, some people aren't. I'm going to let you do your thing in this conversation, get your great introduction going, and then talk to people and assist people on what they can be using this time for, the great opportunity of it, and maybe even some pointers and suggestions on how they get moving in that direction as well.
Absolutely. So if the first thing I'll say is, as far as hypnotherapy is a wonderful tool for getting to those limiting thoughts and limiting beliefs that maybe hold us in that old energetic of the way life used to be. Remember, like 2 months ago, the way life used to be. And even who we were then. Who are we now? Who do we want to be when this pause, and I'll use that word, a pause, when this pause is over? Because while there's a lot of people that I see in my circle, the Facebook friends, those people, who are approaching this as though life has stopped. Life has not stopped. Events have stopped. Certain things we can't do in the same way we used to do them, but life goes on. If life wasn't going on, we wouldn't be here today having this conversation, and the viewers who are viewing it much later after the interview takes place wouldn't be here watching it. Life is continuing. How do you step into the energetic of life instead of being stuck in the energetic of fear? And I want to back up 79 years ago to December of 1941, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." And the biggest impact that COVID is having is all of the noise around it associated to fear. Is you hear one thing and then the counterpoint comes out and then some other counterpoint. There's no idea of what's really true anymore. And that confusing causes a headspace of confusion that manifests in our thoughts, because now it's really easy when we're out there looking for the things that bring us some sense of balance. And particularly if on social media you declare that you found a space of balance that works for you, there's somebody on the other side shaming you for it. What's that shaming do for our confidence and our ability to make choices for ourselves? Because without getting into a conspiracy theory, because I don't want to go there, that's not what this is about. But on a very basic level, who wins when you are confused? Or to spin that, who doesn't win when you're confused? That's a really clear answer. You don't. So how do you get back to that space? That's what I want to talk about today, is mental resilience in this time of COVID-19. And there's a gentleman whose work I really admire. His name's Mo Gaudat, who wrote the book, it's right over my shoulder. There it is, Solve for Happy. And if you look on YouTube for him, you'll find some interviews of him holding a glass of water with a certain volume of water in it. And he'll say, the classic question is the glass half full or half empty? And there's this whole pessimist optimist thing around that. That's the wrong question. The question is, how do I feel about how much water is in it? And what can I do about it? It's like this is the baseline of existence. The thing that exists right now is COVID and the legislation, the mandates around it of what we are allowed to do at this moment in time. So with that base, it doesn't matter how I feel about it. Well, it matters how I feel about it. It is the baseline. What can I do about it? What's in my power? What is in your power? Because each of us have a unique space in this. That's our uniqueness in this body. So look at the facts. That's where the confusion comes in. Because what are the facts anymore? One day it's 3% fatality rate. One day it's 6. One day it's this. One day it's that. There's all this noise. Then that leads to some of the shaming. That I own it. I will own it. Shame me all you want. I don't care. That I am very much in the realm of this thing has maybe a 3% mortality rate, and it's time to move on with life and get back to movement again. The people on this side that are all about, oh, let's stay safe. You don't know who you might kill. I don't know. Everybody dies. If you have an issue with people dying, take it up with God, because he or she made the rules about life ends with death, not me. So, and I admit, I came from this energetic of you need to come out of your cave and start living again. And I found myself in the shaming space, and I've got to own that, because it's not a place I want to be. I want to inspire people rather than drag them out. And that energetic was really thrown back in my face from the people like, you don't know. I don't know, and neither do you. But that shaming doesn't help, doesn't take us anywhere. But how can we find the space in the middle? Because there's truth in both. If you think about any polar position that is we've come from our confirmation bias, I want to stay safe or I want to move on, there's only a partial truth in that. There is truth in that element, and there's truth over here. The whole truth exists in all those elements. And rather than shaming each other, how do we find the space to start coming together and acknowledging that the people over here who are in the space of wanting safety, which who doesn't want safety? The people who want safety came to that space for a reason, because of what they've experienced in life. It doesn't make them wrong. It makes them different. That's okay, because I'm different than they are, and my space is okay. I've got to give them the grace to be where they are and not shame them for being there, because that's just going to push our poles farther apart. But all that comes from fear. You can't possibly if you do that, then you're going to kill people. You don't know who you could. I don't even know. So with all this confusion and bubbling, let's look at what is resilience. How do I get in a space that's good for me, no matter what anybody else around me thinks? And resilience basically staying in your power, staying in your truth. It's getting up when you've been knocked down, knowing that you have more in you and you can do better. The old line of the master has failed more times than the novice has ever tried. Get knocked down 7 times and get back up 8. It's also standing strong when others around you are falling under the pressure, when everybody else has felt the weight of it and they are collapsing into giving up. The resilient person stands again, and also has bend and flex in that they don't crumble from being brittle. It's also having a strong sense of your unique gifts. What's the thing that you do better than anybody else? And how do you hold that space for yourself so that you can hold it for others to share their gift? And more than anything else, I really want to drive this point home, because it's probably the biggest one of all of them, is that no thing outside of your body, outside of your thoughts, has control over you unless you allow it. I am much bigger than a virus on a physical level. My thoughts are much bigger than a viral thought, unless I let them go there. And that's not saying that I'm just not scared of this thing. I am in a healthier body and a healthier mindset by not being afraid, by standing strong, saying, I don't care if I get it or not. I'm not saying I won't. Maybe I've had it already. Maybe I haven't. I don't know. I'm just not afraid of getting it, because even if we go to the conservative 6% mortality rate, that means it's still getting a 94, and failing. I have no problem with addressing somebody that gets an A and failing. So how can we find that space for ourselves? And I want to do an exercise for you guys, particularly in social media, because that's where a lot of this conversation is coming up, because we don't talk to each other much in person anymore, because, well, there's nowhere to go and sit and have coffee or a drink. But in that space, there's so much noise of the two polar opposites. How do you start to filter what's good for you and helpful and what isn't? And the exercise I'd like to do is kind of setting those boundaries so that we're aware of them in our body. And the first thing I'd like to do is set the no response, the thing that doesn't help you. And if you are in a safe space to do this, do not do this while you are driving. Just if you're driving or riding in a car, do not do this exercise. Tune in later and pick it up here. And the first one is just close your eyes and take a deep breath. And think about a situation that frustrates you to no end. The just absolute worst frustrating person, situation, whatever. And as you sit with that space, just breathe into it. It's okay. We're just imagining it. Notice in the space between your chin and your waist what's happening in your body. What's going on with your shoulders? What's going on in your chest, your stomach, your core? How's your heart? What's your breathing like? Take notice of all those elements, whatever else is coming up as a sensation from your chin to your waist. On that frustration point, I would never want to be here again. I don't want to deal with this crap. Be there, notice it, take a deep breath, take any last notes, and then as you exhale, shake it off and open your eyes. So Casey, I'll ask you, what was your response there? What did you notice?
I will say this, I would like to consider myself up in the realm of being able to handle this stuff, but we all would like to think that we are there, right? So it's what I love about your application, Daniel, is you're giving everybody very specific areas of focus and awareness. Sometimes if somebody's like, okay, how are you feeling right now? And they're like, well, I don't know. And you're like, okay, right here. What's going on right here? It's like, oh, I can draw my awareness in right here. And yeah, there's that thing in my neck. And I noticed that my shoulders are coming up just a little. Or maybe that I even crossed my in the middle, of what you did, which is the shutdown, the protection, okay? To realize that, of course, we know that our bodies are thoughts actualized. And once you start to become aware of that, and you can fine-tune your state of awareness for your body, you can become aware of who you are in that stasis. Who am I being right now? What is my projection? What is my intake? And then move it and change it. Some people don't think, they'll think I can't change the way I feel, and we're like, actually, the great news is you can, okay? So this is vital. I mean, Daniel, everybody could wake up every single morning right now and start their day this way, right? And certainly end their day this way, so they're cleaning and clearing their field for a productive sleep.
And so that idea of we're in control, that I am not a victim of my feelings, I am a chooser of my feelings. So let's do the other side of that exercise now. Take a deep breath, breathe in, and think about that thing that brings you absolute joy. Person, an event, your absolute yes. Oh, this is perfection. This is divine. Brings you absolute joy. Take a few deep breaths into it. And now as you do, bring your awareness back to that same space between your chin and your waist. And what's different? How is this joyful thought showing up in your body? How are your shoulders? How's your chest? How's your core? What's your breathing like? What's your heart rate like? Take notice of all those things, maybe any other things that come to your awareness. There's no right, no wrong here. You don't have to notice them all. Notice the things that are important. And really notice how you are feeling right now in this moment of absolute joy and yes, connecting to that ideal. Take a deep breath, feel it, and then as you exhale and open your eyes, you can go ahead and shake it off. Maybe hold on to a little bit of that one because it's a nice place to be. So I ask you, Casey, what did you notice between the two poles of the exercise?
I think immediately, Daniel, for me, I think my head was tilted upward more the second time than the first time. Okay, I caught that when you first started telling me, okay, what's that space? I'm like, wow, my space is more open right here. Okay. Also, I didn't feel heavy in my seat.
Okay.
As I did the first time. I felt more balanced. Let's say balanced. Okay. So the heaviness is weighted down. It's fear. Okay. It's anchored. Too anchored. Not grounded. Anchored. Okay. There's a difference. And so I think that converts in my own mind and in my own resonance that's more. I'm more balanced in my chair. I'm balanced. Okay. And I have more space, which means I have more space to think and to see and to create with than the limited space of fear, right?
Mm-hmm. So, and I even saw a bigger smile on that one. The expression on your face on the first one was kind of like deadpan, like, and you started smiling into the second one. I was like, yeah, and your chin was up. So for everyone watching, I want to point out an important language thing that I did when Casey was reporting her experience. I didn't feel heavy. But if I say I didn't feel heavy, what's the last thing you heard? Feeling heavy. So we're anchoring back to the old energetic. So I asked, if you didn't feel heavy, what did you feel? And stepped into the lightness. So if you hear yourself saying, I don't feel this, nature abhors a vacuum. If you're not feeling that, what came in to replace that energy? And step into that of what you did actually feel, because that's where you expand into the new rather than being anchored to that old story. Like I hear clients all the time say, I don't want to be like my parents. Well, now the only template I have in that moment is being like my parents. Well, if you don't want to be like them, who do you want to be? And now we create into the future with that new imagery. So now having these two things, this yes and the no, that gives us a way to figure out what's in our best interest, our highest calling, and what isn't. Because in that first energetic, that was the stress response, the thing that says, no, don't want to go there. If you're interacting, maybe in a Facebook somewhere, Facebook's the big bad right now, interacting in that space, and you start to get that sense of I want to attack or I want to recoil. That's all bringing that negative energy into your body. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to unfriend that person unless they really trigger you a lot. But now that you're aware of it, that it's showing up in your body, you can make the choice of being there, knowing I am here, rather than I'm a victim of being here. I'm choosing to be here. You know what? I don't want to feel that way. And I think maybe it's time I choose a different direction and choose a different tribe. Because resiliency is about being mindful of and keeping control of your thoughts in any moment. If I've suddenly discovered myself feeling stressed, feeling miserable, I gotta take a deep breath and pause, maybe ask the why, how did I get here in this moment? But no, I have the choice to close that door and step it. I don't always step through it immediately, but I have the choice to start re-engineering my focus. So this expansive one, the yes, is a place of health and growth. If I'm feeling calm in my body, I'm not going to manifest stresses and knots and other things. Like, the hypnotherapy school where I went, trained 5 years ago, when we did clinical hypnotherapy, I love this sentence and I will never forget it. The gentleman who runs the school said, the person who comes in with an ulcer is not angry because they have an ulcer. They have an ulcer because they're angry. That all of this churn is becoming a churn down here that's creating an imbalance in the body, and it's manifesting in the stomach. And if you don't quite buy into that one yet, if that's, I have a feeling that everyone watching this channel, watching this show gets that. But if you just happen to be checking in and you're not sure that sounds a little too spooky woo-woo, go ahead and think about what was going on in your body when I asked you those yes and no responses. You felt them. It took place in your body somehow, just in those brief 30, 40 seconds. What happens if you are anchored in that feeling of being miserable, hopeless, victimhood, all that other nonsense for years and decades? What impact does it have? And what happens when it's ramped up to a spinal tap 11 on that scale of 1 to 10 in an age like this, when everybody wants, almost everybody wants you to feel bad because they're feeling bad, because misery loves company. Step back out of it. So when you can sense that your thoughts are beating you down or spinning you in a loop of stress, you can now choose, you become aware of it. You can take that tool and step back out of it.
Oh, it's so interesting because obviously everybody's got all kinds of questions, like you said early, Daniel, no matter what facet of what's going on that you kind of see through, okay, whether there's a conspiracy or whether there's a wave of opportunity of spirituality, or there's a virus, or whatever lens you're looking through. One of the most interesting things that people start to talk about is the pain and the suffering. Well, why is there so much pain and suffering? And this is a miserable place. Or even without looping religion into it, why does God make us suffer? And those things. And of course, we always say because there's extraordinary opportunity in that space. It's a space opportunity of stop doing this for yourself, or it's the motivation to change or move or shift or get out of a situation. One of the things that I'm just sitting there clicking as you're speaking and saying, we're all looking at Facebook. Everyone's looking at Facebook every day. I mean, come on, you guys, you just are, okay? And we can be using this as a therapeutic tool for ourselves by literally paying attention to what that thread makes us feel, and then pause, change, recalibrate, go to the next thread, and you're going to be mastering what you're doing on this thing where really this thing's trying to control you, okay? And I promise I'm posting fun, uplifting things, so you can use my thread to get you in the good space. But anyway, that was just coming to my mind too. It's like, wow, we've now got this opportunity really to master our fields, to get into our prime. And not even that, I'm priming ourselves for even more, extraordinary things. Daniel, let's talk a little bit about, what you are telling people, day in and day out. Are there some specific tools? I know you know from, your specialty field, some of them kind of maybe some new patterns for our own selves. What am I thinking in the morning? What am I thinking in the afternoon? How can I wind my day down and really grab some specifics for people to be guided with?
Yeah, definitely. The first thing I would say is, before we go into the morning, afternoon, and evening, but find at least 20 minutes a day to sit in silence with yourself and disconnect. There's a very real thing of, I forget the term of it now. It's about having the online meeting space, about just like how screen time drags you down. Step away from the screen and find some quiet time for yourself to just sit and reconnect and breathe slowly, meditate, if you want to call it that, or just get some me time. Take that for yourself, no matter what you do with it. Maybe you just want to read a book, 20 minutes a day, no less. And then in that space of opportunity, I love the way you said that the pause, like give yourself that pause. Well, the universe has given us a pause right now. And all of us at some time or another have been guilty with, if I just had the time to do something, I'd live a different life. You've been given that time to start engineering it. So who do you want to be on the other side of this? Part of the stress of this moment in time I sense it particularly here in California because our date keeps stretching out a little bit. It's almost like we're caught in a tunnel in that cave, and we suddenly see this bit of light. We think we're almost out, and then it turns the corner and goes away, and we're left in the darkness because there hasn't been a defining line. Because there's so many unknowns in this moment, but still know that you're safe and everybody else is there. The journey will end, that we will come to that light. But who do you want to be when you step out of that cave into the light and start taking those actions now? With morning, afternoon, and evening exercises, what's your declaration for the day? You can get up and I'm just going to shuffle my papers all day, and I'm going to have some meetings, and then I'll eat lunch and I'll shuffle some more papers for some more meetings, and then I'll go to bed tonight. That's just marking time. That's wasting energy, marching in motion. I've been in the military. That's not a fun place to be when you're just kind of marking time. What do you want your day? Where do you want your day to lead you? How do you want to feel at the end of it? What things do you want to notice through the day? Because we get more of what we focus on. It's just a fact. Reticular activating system kicks in. What do you want to get out of the day? Set your intention to get that thing, and you'll see it come up. In the afternoon, if you want to do a check-in, how's my day going? What would I do? What would I have done differently in the first part of my day that I'm going to shift my focus of attention in the latter part of my day? Do a quick change up if you need to. If days seems like it's rolling on, can you build on that and make it bigger? Or are you just kind of okay with my day's going fine? I'm gonna slide on into home and call it good. Perfectly fine. Any of those choices. When you're reflecting back on the day, I really suggest two, and these are in my book, The 2-Minute Journal. What went well today? What did you learn about yourself in the day? And then how would you carry that learning into tomorrow? So we're focusing it forward, that not only did I learn something, I want to apply it as I move forward in life and build on that strength as I learn things about myself. I think those are really key action steps to move forward out of this, and just instead of throwing up my hands and waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel to come.
Well, Daniel, this is why we have you on the show, because you're so helpful and useful to everybody. Some people are really experiencing emotional crisis right now. I do really want to support you in every way we can, which is a reason to funnel yourself directly to Daniel, okay? Wherever you are in your creative space, if you're hitting speed bumps, if you're hitting little glitches and you're just not quite sure how to get around it, how to get over it, how to get through it, Daniel's a great person for you to connect with. This is what he does, for a living. But not only that, this is who he is, in his beingness, in his desire and choosing to assist everybody into their transition of empowerment, right? Daniel, you mentioned you've got a book. Have you got a book out there for everybody? And how do they find that book?
Yeah, you can. Actually, I have 3. All of them were Amazon #1 bestsellers. You can find all of them on Amazon. There is Practical Manifesting, which is a very grounded guide to the process of creating and manifesting. There is A Pessimist's Guide to Manifesting, which is a deep dive into each of the 21 laws of creating and manifesting. Yes, there's 20 more than just law of attraction, and they all work together. That's why The Secret didn't work when you tried it, just letting you know. And then there's also My 2-Minute Journal, which is a grounded way of actually bringing awareness to your day, your actions in the day. The nighttime questions are meant to get you percolating in your sleep and learn from what your brain is processing while you're sleeping. And then we bring those questions together on weekly and monthly summaries so you can see the patterns in your life and decide whether they're serving you or not. And in that awareness, create choice.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. I say this all the time, just get the books. We love books. They're our support system. But also, Daniel, if people want to get even more intimate with you and a little more personal with you, your website, your contact feed, let's talk about that, please.
Yeah, so you can find me online at danielolexa.com. That's my website. Email is daniel@danielolexa.com. and happy to get into a conversation of how I'm here to serve. So how can I help bring your light forward, get you into that resilient space of living the life that you want to live? And I'll say this one sparingly, because one of my suggestions at the end of this talk was to remove Facebook from your phone. Why carry that distraction around in your pocket? Separate yourself from it. Log in when you want to on desktop, or just don't make it so easy, because we talked about algorithms and you shared, Casey, that you're putting uplifting stuff. The funny thing is, I'm not seeing your posts. I'm seeing the posts that trigger me, because the algorithm of Facebook is designed to create interaction. And we tend to want to go into reacting to the thing that brings the negativity forward, because we have a negativity bias. So just know that the algorithm of Facebook is designed to be a swimming pool for pissing contests. And you have to go out and look for the things that are uplifting. So you can find me on Facebook, but one of my things is I really suggest getting it off of this and interacting only when you need to. Don't have those dings going off constantly.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Daniel. Now, Brad's just over there laughing because he doesn't have any of that stuff on his phone for exactly that same reason. Yes. And he's always out on power equipment on the property and he just doesn't want any notifications firing him off, but it's all good. Thank you for, of course, your extraordinary being that you are, your presence, your wisdom, your suggestions, and just your energy of everything that you are, Daniel. For all of the viewers, as you can see and feel from this conversation, Daniel is somebody that you can turn to. Please do that, especially if you're really, really finding yourself in some form of real downfall space. Connect with Daniel. Watch this program, please. Share this program. Use this time to know yourself like you've never known yourself before, and create yourself in every framework that you have ever thought you could possibly be, and even beyond. Daniel, any last parting words for our audience?
Those words right there, I think, were great. That we choose to create who we are. We are not victims of our past. We make the choice in the present to create our future, and how we speak about ourselves is what we bring into reality. Thank you for that.
Thank you, everybody, for being with us. Once again, this is COVID-19, the opportunities you didn't think of. Of course, we want to thank Xpnsion Network for bringing you inspirational programming on your conscious journey. And we hope that you find love and honor, compassion, wisdom, and expansiveness in every thought and every moment of your existence. From us to you, thank you so much.